Yo, what up, fellas? It's the Southbound and Down podcast. Thanks for joining us on Wednesday night, 10 o'clock, where we discuss the NFC South and all the shenanigans that go along with it, from cold weather to teams pulling away with a one and a half game lead. It's a real scorcher of a season for all of these teams, but I'm glad to be here with some of my favorite friends. What's up, guys? Scott, how's it going?
Pretty good. Good.
Randy Watson. Randy Watson. He's making his appearance. I like the shirt. Way to bring it fresh as usual.
Good and terrible.
Good and terrible. That's what this division's like. By the way, happy 80th birthday, Joe.
Thank you. I appreciate
Happy birthday, Joe.
Even though that's only half my age.
Yeah. He's wise beyond his years.
That's for sure.
Happy birthday, Joey. Joey tweeted out, gave me a picture yesterday. He said, look at my birthday present. It was a Corvette, and then there was a minivan behind it. And I said, man, nice minivan. Nice Toyota Sienna right there. Greg, how's it going, man?
Everything's good.
Yeah, I'm sure everything is with your big win in Pittsburgh coming off that. Great week.
Woo-hoo! Absolutely. We needed that.
All right, so jump in there and tell me, Greg, who's in the actual technical lead? Is it you guys or is it Atlanta, because Atlanta beat you guys?
Atlanta, that's a tiebreaker right there, the win that they got first game of the season. So that's the big difference right now. So I mean, for us, we can't have the same record as they at the end of the season. We got to be a game ahead to win.
Are you guys both 5-7 at the moment? Is that what the record is?
Yes.
Unfortunately, even though Atlanta should be 2 games more because of friggin' Detroit and Cleveland games. If you wanted to say that, I mean, if you think about it, we easily could be probably 9 right now, 9-3, 9-4 maybe. Coaching issues.
You know, so
yours weren't coaches not understanding what the clock were issues.
Well, I mean, y'all got to stop hiring incompetent people who can't man the clock, man.
I think New Orleans has had its coaching issues with Rex Ryan.
Oh, hell yeah, they have.
Or Rob Ryan, excuse me. Okay, so Atlanta also came out with a win last week over what's been a successful Arizona Cardinals this season, but you can't call them that this past week. They were pretty bad. Scott, are you guys going to be able to stick with this lead? Did you see enough against the Arizona Cardinals?
All
right. Is it just us three then? Okay.
Scott,
all right.
I'm here. Hello.
Steve's coming back. There he is.
Oh, okay. There he is.
He's back. He's caught up. What I was asking you is, you played a successful Arizona Cardinals team this season, but they haven't been successful as of late. They went, I think, 10 quarters without scoring a touchdown. Is this win enough to convince you that you guys can win the division? That's, I guess, my first question.
Yeah, because the first thing that I saw this week was players playing in the right positions. The offensive line finally looks like it's gelling. So, I mean, that alone helped out. And then we're coming back. William Moore coming back sparked that defense.
We just need to get the Panthers some Dr. Scholl's inserts so they can be gelling.
Is that what it is?
That's what the offensive line needs.
To be fair, the offensive line in Atlanta has used 5 different alignments. They had one for the first 4 games that worked out pretty well when they went 3-0 in the first, or when they went 2-0 with it, where it went the whole game, and then guys fell out and died basically after week 4. Then you had an alignment in the Giants game, an alignment in the Bears and Ravens game, and they finally went to the current alignment against the Lions. And since that Lions game, the pass protection has been a whole lot better. Matt Ryan's been able to step up in the pocket. He's only been getting hit about 3 times a game instead of about 7 times a game. And it's nice to see Ryan actually have time.
He had a pretty successful game, 30 of 41 for 361 yards with a couple of scores, and he had a big weapon, a guy that really, to me, I'm just convinced is kind of an unstoppable type player in Julio Jones. Why is it, though, with all of those numbers, Scott, you guys couldn't score towards the end, though? 5 field goals. You have 5 field goals. The Atlanta Falcons, I mean, what does that tell us about, you guys started out hot, you score a lot of points early, but then it seems to slow down. Mm-hmm. Is that anything to be concerned about?
Well, there's 2 things. Arizona's got exceptional red zone defense, which is huge in today's NFL.
It is.
The other thing to look at is Atlanta dropped 3 touchdowns. 2 were dropped by Devin Hester. 1 was dropped by Harry Douglas. Just straight up drop passes in the end zone. They were standing in the end zone.
That kills you.
The ball hit them in the hands, and then it dropped. If Atlanta catches all 3 of those passes and that face mask call gets called back and it's not a face mask anymore, Atlanta blows them out. Like, worse than the Tampa Bay game #1. Blows them out.
Yeah, I had to say it now. Don't get me wrong, the defense did play pretty decent for Atlanta. But a lot of that was, to me, inept quarterback play on the Arizona Cardinals side.
It was a combination of both, but Atlanta's coverage was excellent, and they were flying around the ball. So,
I agree, but you also had if you had Carson Palmer in there, that's a little bit different game. It's a tighter game for sure. You got to give me that because you can't tell me because
Atlanta made it a point to hit Drew Stanton. Whether or not it was a sack, they didn't get a single sack in the game.
No, they didn't.
Times,
but
all 8 of those hits were not fun hits.
Right, and I get that. Yeah, a little couple of remember hits, but you also got a guy right because Carson probably could deal with that a little more compared to Stanton. I think a big part of that game to me, from what I saw too, it was quarterback play. I think that they could have been. I think they definitely could have been in that game with a decent, competent quarterback who could play worth the crap. Because that dude right there, he was straight up trash. And Hoyer was bad the week before. This dude right here was a level lower to me. He was just brutal.
When you make sure to hit a quarterback as much as they hit him, that's what causes bad quarterback play. Because he was okay for the first 2 hits, but after he got that third just rock,
I got to feel if they didn't touch him, he still would have been crappy. I think if they didn't touch him, he would have been crappy.
That's the thing. When you go back and you watch the film, you see him scared in the pocket after that third hit. He's like, hey, I know I'm going to get hit sometime soon. It has an effect. It has an effect on every quarterback.
I'm not arguing that. But I'm just saying, I just got a feeling with him. I think Arizona, who's pretty much enjoyed the first lead in the NFC, is going to drop like a stone at this point. Mm-hmm. They really do have a strong possibility. They may not even make the playoffs this year because of the quarterback play. Because that dude right there, he's not gonna get them where they gotta go, especially without a rushing attack. And that's even worse too, because the fact that you don't have a rushing attack, and then Elton gets hurt early on in that game too. So you had nothing. You basically had nothing. That was huge help to them. And whoever comes down the line with Elton hurt, and you got a pretty much an NF quarterback who is scared to get hit. That team's gonna drop like a stone. The defense is the only thing that can keep them afloat. But the defense only can do that for so long.
What I want to know is this: how did Steven Jackson physically run a 55-yard touchdown? How is that possible?
Without a golf cart.
Yeah. How did not? How it was like in the opening minutes of the game, Scott, and Steven Jackson burns a fresh Arizona Cardinals team.
Yep.
How did nobody chase him down? Explain that.
Atlanta's blocking. That's what I meant by gelling. Atlanta's blocking was excellent. Justin Blaylock.
Man, they must have blocked 45 yards downfield.
Oh, they were blocking 30 yards downfield. They were like Julio Jones was out there pushing around Patrick Peterson trying to get to. Well, Peterson was trying to get to Jackson, like 20 yards downfield. Julio Jones was basically throwing around Peterson like he was a rag doll, just grabbing and throwing. It was great. It was beautiful to watch.
All right,
I think that play helped out Julio Jones more than anything else because he got to physically destroy Peterson and get in his head.
Yeah. Well, you had to have done something awesome to get Steven Jackson to bust that run. I would like to say that Steven Jackson, I think, was on my fantasy team. I haven't even checked it since I've had such a fall lately. But to follow up on Greg's point, just to let you know, Drew Stanton has thrown 5 interceptions in the last 3 games. He has thrown 4 touchdowns in the last 4 games, and really has only combined for about 600 yards in like 5 games.
So like 100-some yards a game, and
about 200. Maybe it's about 200, about 175 yards a game. Maybe it looks like
that ain't cutting anything. That ain't cutting cheese, cake, or nothing else. That ain't gonna do anything without a rushing attack either. You need to be running about 175 to 200 and running the ball to compensate for the 175 in passing that you got. You know what I'm saying? So
you're passing it for 175 is because your friggin' receivers suck.
I get that too, but at the same time, you still need the receivers he got. I mean, he got a couple of decent receivers.
Wait a minute. His receivers don't suck. He got Malcolm Floyd.
Floyd is all right. Floyd is all right. I don't know.
He's got that Brown kid that has been hot this year.
Well, yeah,
and he's got Larry Fitzgerald. It's not like he's got bad receivers.
Yeah, but the problem with Fitzgerald's had the problem over the last 5 years. He hasn't, other than Carson Palmer, he really hasn't had a quarterback that can get him the ball.
Fitzgerald didn't even play.
Yeah, he did not play in that game. You're right.
Okay.
Floyd got shut down by Desmond Trufant for like 3 catches for 20 yards.
Everybody been shutting down Michael Floyd. That dude ain't done anything all year.
Oh no,
we know that.
He had his best game against Desmond Trufant at that low number. And then, basically the best receiver they had in John Brown was shut down too.
And he's a rookie, so we all knew that Arizona stuff was a house of cards.
Yeah.
As soon as because it wasn't like they had that we were really convinced that they could keep it up for that long when Carson Palmer was healthy. So
right.
when he started, you knew that it was going to fall apart. They have too tough of a division. But let's jump on to the Saints, who are close behind the Atlanta Falcons, right on their tail. I got to ask you, Greg, was this good offense or was this opportunistic offense for the New Orleans Saints?
Probably a little of both. I mean, the truth is that the defense alone could have had about 3 or 4 interceptions. They dropped a couple of them. Patrick Robinson dropped one straight to the end zone. I mean, he jumped the route, jumped a little side screen. He jumped it and dropped it out of his hand. But for the most part, for the offense, a lot of it is. They went out. They were sputtered in the first quarter and a half, and then they actually just started getting rolling. All of a sudden, they made whatever adjustments they needed to make, started running the ball, and then they just kind of took over the game after that point. Once they started getting the ball rolling, and it was 2 interceptions. You were already up like 14-3 or something like that, and then Roethlisberger threw a pair of picks, I believe, right? He threw one pick in the end zone. I think Vaccaro got that one. And then there was the other one was a little bit later on, I think I want to say probably second quarter, where Cameron Jordan was coming in on him, knocked the ball up in the air and ran and caught it, and got under it and caught it. and basically gave him a short field position again. So I mean, the defense definitely helped with those 2 turnovers, but I mean, they could have easily had more. And I mean, Roethlisberger. I mean, I will give it that Roethlisberger was off on a lot of his passes as well. So he definitely he helped along a little bit with some of the passes and all, but he had hit his hand against Curtis Lofton's arm when he was trying to throw a pass, and ever since then he kind of was a little shaky for a bit there.
I heard that he was handing off the ball with his left hand.
He was, yeah, but he had been doing that for a while. From what I understand, he practices that from time to time. But
he got to give his old ass right hand a break.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, his right hand. I mean, he said it's not broken, but it definitely hit against Lofton definitely affected him. You can just see it.
All right, you guys seem to be better when Mark Ingram is having a good game. He had 122 yards, and he seemed to give a little consistency to that offense as well. How much better are you guys with Mark Ingram on the field?
Well, I mean, the thing about it is I think it's a little bit of give and take because early on in the game he really wasn't running very well at all. And he kept getting stalled a little bit here and there, but then eventually they kind of got the offense rolling, got a couple passes here and there, and then they just start handing it off, and they would switch it off and be able to do whatever they wanted to do. They can open up the playbook a little more, and go some play action, do some other things too. So that kind of helped them a lot. But I think even whether it's Ingram, I think whether it's Tyree Robinson or even Pierre, if they're running a 100-yard game like that, pretty much any one of those backs, if they're running that kind of game, that helps that offense as a whole because it's just that getting that running game going and really rolling helps them big time.
Do you guys have your defense? You said you dropped a couple of touchdowns. It seemed like they were able to score at the end, which I mean I guess in garbage time you're probably putting in backups at that point.
Yep.
But Le'Veon Bell had 254 total yards. He had 160 on the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, receiving, and 95 rushing.
Right.
Antonio Bryant had a decent game. If you guys were to pull past the Atlanta Falcons, do you have the defense that could even make you competitive in the playoffs?
I don't know at this point. That's a hard call because I mean I think it depends on who we're playing in a sense. I think there are a couple of teams that we can match up with, and we might be okay against. We're going to give a play here and there. There are other teams that I probably would be scared to death to have to try to deal with them, especially because you got to remember we basically got a gutted secondary when it comes down to it because we lost 3 of our safeties that we began with this year, and then so you basically got a rookie safety and you got a rookie free safety out there who's basically an undrafted rookie, but he's playing pretty decent. I mean, and I knew he would. Only because he played so well in training camp, so we got lucky to get him back, and he was familiar with the defense. So that was a good thing. And, I mean, Robinson's playing a little bit decent on the corner position, a little bit better, and Keenan Lewis seems to be getting back healthy again. That knee is getting better. He definitely played a lot better in that game, in this game compared to the others.
What was it about this game? I mean, your defense had been so questionable before, you had been so, I guess, inconsistent. Is it because, the team is getting more focused? Was it Rob Ryan did a better job of coming up with a good game plan?
I think some of it kind of rallying around Ryan. I mean, they had an article like earlier that week saying that some of the players were pretty angry with, everybody pointing fingers at Ryan about the reason why the defense is not playing well, and the players felt like the onus was on them to play, which it is. I mean, a lot of times, I don't think sometimes the players don't get nearly as much blame as they should, as the coach does sometimes. But I mean, I also understand that. I mean, we all know that if you ever managed anything or ran anything, sometimes it's easier to get rid of the manager because you get rid of one person than trying to get rid of the rest of the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You got to operate still.
Right. You still got to operate, exactly. So it's easier. So it's easier to remove the one guy ahead in that department than trying to remove the player, especially with the salary cap and all that. It ain't like you can go up there and just start saying, "Oh, you're gone," and then bring in another guys like that. It's a lot more complicated to do that. But I think for the most part, I think some of it
Is
was.
that giving him a pass? Is that a little giving him a pass though? Because you guys had a very competitive defense last season, and there was such high hopes for this team going into this season. That has to be disappointing, and it kind of seems to be the MO of Rob Ryan, where they make they're successful early with a team, and then they have trouble sustaining that.
I don't think, me personally, I don't necessarily think it's necessarily giving him a pass. I'm not saying that he's out of the woods this year. I mean, at this point in time, I honestly would not be shocked if Sean Payton makes a change in the defense at that point. But I think it depends on who's out there, who we think he might can get to replace him that might be better. That's going to be the question, huh?
Ron Rivera.
I think he still want to go 3-4. So he's going to want a 3-4. The guy I'm looking at and the one I got in mind, I got one guy in mind that I'm kind of interested in that I think that, I don't know. And Peyton actually had interviewed him. Brian, I got one guy that I would have in mind that I would like. So,
well, who is he?
The one I'm kind of interested in is possibly the defensive lineman coach at San Francisco, Jim Tomasulo. I think he might be the guy. But then also too, if Harbaugh is gone, there's a really, really, really good shot that you might Vic Fangio, the defense coordinator for San Francisco, probably is going to be gone with him. Could be very. But I don't know if he goes with Harbaugh or not. If Harbaugh leaves,
I don't think so, man. I think if Harbaugh leaves, that's Fangio's team.
It could be. I mean, they could very well make him the head coach. I can see that.
Love Fangio.
Vic Fangio's been around for a long, long time. That dude's been around since I was a kid, damn near. So he's been in the league for a long time. So I'm very familiar. I think he was in New Orleans at one time many years ago. I want to say it was under
linebackers.
It was under I can't remember who it was under.
Mora.
I think it was Mora. I think you're right. That's what I was thinking. It was under Mora. I don't think it was under Haslett. I'm pretty sure it was Mora. Because that's right. It was Venturi under Haslett, and he was brutal. So yeah, Fangio was under Mora. You're right, and that's what I was thinking in my head, but I wasn't totally sure. But I know he was in New Orleans. But the one I was looking at was Tomasulo, because I figured it's going to be easier to get him out of there than you would Fangio.
Well, you never had a head coaching shot, and I think if you gave him a shot, you have to give him one with the San Francisco 49ers team that already lost. They hate Harbaugh, but they love Fangio.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because I don't see Fangio going. I don't see Fangio being a wanted head coach with other teams at all.
So can he save himself by making the playoffs and winning a game in the playoffs?
Ryan? Yeah. Part of me, I'm so on the fence with this. Like I said, I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Payton makes that move and cuts him loose. But there's a part of me that wonder, because sometimes, you think about that second year, and we always talk about the sophomore jinx. Then he may give him that third year. Also, too, is a chance, too, to draft some other players that might fit the defense. Because let's be honest, as for a 3-4 defense, we got some guys. We don't really have true 3-4 like linebackers.
Right.
I mean, we got holes there as far as a 3-4 defense to make that run properly.
Right.
You got one linebacker in Curtis Lofton.
Huh?
You got one linebacker in Curtis Lofton.
Exactly.
2 linemen in Cameron Jordan and Akeem Hicks.
I agree.
And if John Jenkins can ever get his head out of his ass, he'll probably.
He'll be another one. Yeah, yeah, that's true because I tell you that damn Ravens game, he had his head in his ass on that one.
And
so he was a hell of a lot better than that.
You don't have any outside linebackers because let's be honest.
Oh, I agree. I told you. Like I said, yeah. The one thing I wanted to do in this draft is they get 2 good 3-4, good solid guys who will be good 3-4 linebackers in the draft this year. Even if you get them later in the later rounds, but some guys who can really fit a 3-4 defense and who are true 3-4 linebackers on the outside. Lofton, I think you keep Lofton in definitely, but as far as outside linebackers, no. And I think you keep Gillette, but you bring him as a specialist.
Yeah,
Let me ask Scott one question.
McPhee in that you get two guys, basically you get a Doomerville, you get a Suggs, and you've got your Pernell McPhee, basically.
Yep.
You got a three-man rotation that's probably one of the better ones in the league if you do that.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, yeah, so I mean, believe me, I'm totally not, as much as I like some of those guys, some of them definitely do not fit the 3-4 lineman, and they got to go. And we got to get that. We first got to get a true. If we had the true 3-4 players there and they were not performing well, then I would probably be leaning more to get rid of Ryan. But the fact is that we don't really have all the tools that he really truly needs to run that defense. I'm hesitant to let him go because I don't feel like I gave him the chance that he deserves. I try to give everybody a chance. Once I get to that point where I think they don't have all the chances they need, okay, yeah, you got to go now. But, at this point, I don't think he got the chances he needed.
Scott, give us a name of somebody in college that would be a linebacker that might be coming out that could help with something like that. You got anybody? I know that I mean, the only reason, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but like I don't follow it. I don't know linebackers and defense enough in college.
Yeah, I follow. I do follow. I haven't looked close enough myself yet.
The thing is, the guy that I really like out of Washington is way too small for a 3-4. If you're going to get a guy for a 3-4, there's like two guys that might be great fits. The first one is Eric Kendricks out of UCLA. He's been playing in the 3-4. He's that coverage guy in the 3-4 where you let Lofton be the thumper. Which I think that would be the best fit for him, and that's probably what you need. The other guy that I would go with is out of Georgia. His name is Marlo. I always forget his last name. Herrera.
Yeah, I'm kind of familiar with him a little bit. I'm a little familiar with him.
He's more of that thumper where if you trust Lofton over the middle in coverage, he can be that thumper on the other side. So I mean, you can either get a thumper, or you can get, a guy to actually complement Lofton. Depending on how Rob Ryan wants to go with the scheme, you could have two thumpers in the middle who both can play that short zone, and that's all you really need them for.
Yep.
And run pincer, run both of them blitzing, sugar the A gaps. You could have some fun with a guy like Marlo Herrera.
Yeah, but they need a couple linebackers that can cover. They need a couple linebackers that definitely can cover. They need two because right now they don't have a damn thing that can cover. I mean, those guys can't cover crap. I mean, I'm sorry. Because Hawthorne can't cover. He can't cover anything. Gillette, you don't want to put him in coverage. That's scary as hell.
Gillette should play 3 snaps in coverage a year.
Huh?
He should play 3 snaps in coverage a year.
I agree. I agree. You're right. And that's within 5 yards. Anything within 5 yards he can cover. Anything past that, oh, God, no.
That's zone.
I'm with you there.
On his own.
I mean, Gillette is a pass rusher. That's what he is. He's a speed pass rusher. That's why you put him out there. And that's what you have him. I mean, like I said, I think we got the linemen for it. It's the linebackers that worry me. And as far as the cornerbacks, I mean, we got Keenan, but we need another second corner. And I think the safeties we have can work. With Bird. Okay. I think with Bird, if you got Raphael Bush, I think Kenny Vaccaro, I think those guys can work in that defense.
Yeah, how many? I mean, who needs better safeties than that? Good Lord, those are some good names.
I agree, absolutely. Without a doubt.
Have been playing better this year than those safeties have, though.
Say it again.
The Atlanta safeties have been playing better this year than those safeties have, because the Atlanta safeties have actually been playing this year.
Yeah,
that's right.
Safeties have been on injured reserve.
Yeah,
they're great. They're
on the sideline.
To be fair, Atlanta safeties have been surprisingly good this year. Dwight Lowery has come out of nowhere and looked like a really solid player, and Kamal Ishmael.
Yeah, he's played very well.
Had 4 interceptions.
Yeah, Ishmael has played very well. He definitely makes a play. He makes a key play every game.
He's a ball hawk, and that's what you need. So.
Yeah, Lowery did. He had a interception this past game.
Yeah, I think he had an interception last week.
All right, let's move to Carolina for a minute, Joey. It's cold. It's cold up there. It was when they played. It was 3 degrees at one point.
It was that high. I lived there one time, so like I told you, I lived there one time. So that's high. but December,
short weather.
High for late November, man. Are you kidding me? Y'all got warm weather hell at 3 degrees.
Joey, what's going on with the Carolina Panthers?
Not a whole lot. They really are a team with just so many questions all over the field. Really, I thought we had a solid special teams unit. I thought we had a solid punting team, and that was just proven this past weekend. I've seen games where they've blocked 2 kicks before. I've seen games where 2 punts have been blocked, but I've never seen a game where 2 punts were blocked and both returned for touchdowns. And that just kind of...
Yeah, it was a Madden game, I think.
It kind of sums up our year. You know what I mean? Kind of just puts everything in a nutshell, those 2 plays. We can't get out of our own way. You know what I mean? You can't block on a punt team, long enough to let your punter get the ball off. And it was just all downhill after that. When we get behind like that, it's so hard for us to come back because we don't move the ball. There was a positive or two. I heard that Mike Remmers got a perfect grade from PFF as far as playing his position for the game. Jonathan Stewart looked good. 12 rushes for 85 yards. That's pretty solid.
Who got a perfect grade?
Mike Remmers. He played right tackle.
He did not get a perfect grade.
Yeah, he did.
He allowed 1 hurry. He got a decent grade. He got an average grade, but he wasn't great in run blocking according to what they saw.
Well,
but that's still better than what they've been getting out of it.
Yeah,
right. Well, it's been an improvement. It was a marked improvement. It was significant.
It looked perfect to me.
Right.
That's kind of how I felt watching the Falcons earlier this year after watching Ryan get destroyed.
Yeah.
For 2013, I was like, man, this line looks good.
He only got 6
times in the first 4 games.
Yeah. Oh, I've been there. I know how.
Well, the cool thing about Remmers is we just signed him to the practice to the team like 3 weeks ago. Yeah. So that's a nice contribution, I guess. But you go on the road in cold temperatures, and boy, was it a cold reception in Minnesota. Joey, will the Carolina Panthers win another game this season?
No, I don't think so, and I don't. I just don't think with the schedule and with the way the team is performing, they can't. They won't be able to. That's okay. We're gonna get it.
I feel like Joey's opening up to us personally. No, they're not gonna win. But that's okay. I'm going to handle it all right. I'm going to live through. I'm going to work through this nonsense.
I've already resolved myself to the fact that they're going to lose the rest of their games, that they're going to lose the head coach.
Yes, he's gone. He is so gone.
Yeah, which I think is the right move. And they're going to get a good draft pick, and that's something we really need. We really need some good picks.
The only thing that scares me is I'm sitting there and I'm looking and I'm like, I really hope they don't take Amari Cooper.
I know.
There needs to be one Julio Jones in this division.
I'm with you. Yeah, because
is he that good, guys?
Unless Amari Cooper's wearing black and gold, I don't want that dude nowhere near in.
Let's put it this way: if the Raiders don't take him at number 1, I'm gonna be scared shitless if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take him at number 2.
You ain't lying. With him and Mike Evans,
they'll have to go quarterback. They'll have to go quarterback.
But they got to go quarterback.
Yeah, they'll have to.
Yeah, because
I'm looking at this. I'm like, man, there's so many AFC teams right here, and I'm like, you know what? New York needs a quarterback. I'm just like, I really hope Amari Cooper goes to Jacksonville. Cooper and Allen Robinson and Cecil Shorts and Marquise Lee.
I'll live with that.
Really
I can live with that.
Oh, I'd love that because if anybody can throw it downfield to those guys,
Blake Bortles. Yep, I'm with you.
So give me Amari Cooper in Jacksonville every day of the week. Oakland or Jacksonville. Anybody else?
Like I said, unless he's in a Saints uniform, I do not want to see Amari Cooper in the South. I'm telling you that right now.
Sounds like we need him in Carolina, Joey.
We do. We could definitely use.
Y'all need
That's what you need.
Y'all need an offensive lineman.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I think if there's a
defensive lineman that won't go to jail.
If there's
you guys need that kid from Notre Dame. That's what you need. He hadn't had a sack all year. He's looked like a monster. That guy's been a beast. Like, the only reason why he didn't start last year was because Zach Martin was a first playing ahead of him.
I think if there's a really top-tier talent tackle and Cooper on the board, the Panthers have to go with the tackle.
Really. I can see them actually going Cooper. I can see them going with Cooper. I can totally see them going with Cooper.
Because he's got to give Cam Newton something to throw to.
They'll get a tackle in free agency. They'll figure they can get a tackle in a later round.
I think they might be able to get Sammy Coates in round 2.
I don't think Sammy Coates is going to be that great of a fit in the pros.
But the thing
about two things will go deep and go deep.
Well, you'll see. It'll be interesting to see how that draft is going to look this year. I mean, as far as you'll see how it shakes out. Especially, I really don't even after the combine. I really don't even really try to peg anything at that point.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, it's too early.
It is.
It's not. No. It is not too early for Carolina Panther fans.
Well, that's true.
To know what the needs are, it's never too early. Carolina needs offensive line.
Yep.
Wide receivers.
Without a doubt.
A tight end to eventually learn and take over from Olsen.
It's funny. I had tight end in mind too.
Secondary. Carolina could go offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Offensive lineman. Wide receiver, and tight end in their first 5 rounds, and people would go, "That's a pretty good draft for them."
I think they're going to go.
Or they could go cornerback or safety. They could go cornerback or safety there. They probably can go 2 cornerbacks because in all reality they need cornerbacks.
Well, Josh Norman has played well this year.
They need a corner.
They still need somebody. I mean, they need more than him because what if he gets hurt? And you got no.
No, I agree. They definitely need another one.
But they need a number 1.
Yeah.
True number 1 corner.
And they don't have a true number 1 corner.
Norman's a solid number 2 corner. Norman, I'm not going to diss him. He's a solid number 2 corner. You know.
But that's not the guy.
But he is not a number 1 shutdown.
I believe the Panthers are going to take 2 of their first 3 picks and draft offensive tackles. Is really where I see them going with some combination of 2 of their first 3.
I think for some reason I don't think they're going to go offensive tackles. I got a feeling they're going to try to go out. He's going to try to go because he's going to want to try to get the crowd, get the fans back excited. He's going to probably make a splash and try to go wide receiver. I got it. That's what I'm thinking.
I want to make a comment on this.
Cooper, and then Cameron Irving, and then a right tackle like that Clemmings guy from Pitt.
Yeah.
That would be a good fit for them. I realize the last Pitt offensive tackle didn't work out too well, but trust me, Clemmings is way better than Nota.
I want to make a comment on this, and what you guys have all said is the Panthers have so many needs that they're just not going to be able to answer all of these through the draft alone. If they really wanted to make a turnaround in a year, they would have to do a combination of some really good free agency moves, some value picks, as well as some strong contributors in the draft. So this is where my logic comes in on that, is that a left tackle no matter how good they are, I feel is very difficult to put in the NFL and just say, "Good luck, rookie. You're gonna change the game in the first play, even when they're really good." And I think, Scott, you can see
Jake
some of
Matthews
that.
and Greg Robinson are perfect examples of that right now.
Right.
They are perfect examples. They're both struggling.
Yep.
They're both having issues seeing pass rushers. But as Matthews is starting to get better, his last 3 games, his last 4 games, he's only allowed 2 sacks. He's only allowed
Matthews
1
kind of exception to the rule. I mean, I've been watching Matthews play since I was a kid. As far as his
family.
uncle and his dad and everybody else. So Matthews is an exception to as far as.
And had he not been injured in the middle of the season, he probably wouldn't have given up all those sacks and hits to the likes of JPP and Terrell Suggs and those guys. He probably wouldn't have looked as bad as he did.
Right. But here's my point on this, though, is that let's grant that, say that Jake Matthews didn't get hurt and had a good season, he would still be a rookie at a very, very important position, and you would hope that he's gonna need to get better, like progress significantly in the next year or two.
But he can.
A guy to look extremely good fresh out the gate as a rookie left tackle.
Right. This is my point. Okay, so here's my point is that if the Carolina Panthers have a high draft pick, it might be more valuable for them to go with an impact player immediately, like Amari Cooper or a wide receiver. And then what you do is try to get a guy in round 2 that you're going to draft to be your future left tackle, but you put him at right tackle or somewhere else to develop him.
Who can play left tackle right now.
Right, you don't have anybody.
That's what I'm trying to say.
In the meantime,
you just have to bite the bullet and eat the growing pains
I agree.
now. And just go, you know what? We understand he's gonna suck right now. Amari Cooper may not be there. Amari Cooper's probably not going to be there, but Kevin White will be there. And Kevin White's good enough to do his thing.
Well, you also have on CarolinaCatChronicles.com right now, we have put out, Mel Mayock just put out a story of top 5 offensive tackle picks. And I'm going to read the name.
Okay.
All right, let me pull it up real quick because I'll let you guys, and then we'll move on from the Panthers and talk something else as soon as this pulls up. Joe, did you get to see it this week, the story that came out today?
No, I have not looked at it yet.
Abuehi was up there. I think that's how you say it, right?
He has looked awful playing left tackle this year. His techniques suck.
Is that the Texas A&M guy?
Yes.
Okay. He doesn't have the ability to play left tackle. He's not that good at left tackle. The guy that they replaced him with, Jerome Harrison, I think that's his name, he has looked amazing. He has looked way better than Abuehi.
Did they move him back to right tackle?
Yeah, Abuehi is a right tackle. Sorry, Jarvis Harrison. Jarvis Harrison is the guy. If he decides to leave, he will be a first-round pick. And he will be a damn good first-round pick.
What about Brandon Scherf? That's
Scherf
the
is
next
a
name on the league.
Scherf is a guy who I would take in the top 10. Andrews Pete, not so much. Cameron Irving, that's the guy that I was saying. You take him in the early second round, make him your franchise left tackle. You're going to get some beating on him. He's going to be, he's not going to be amazing as a rookie, but neither was Dwayne Brown. That's who I compare him to. He's Dwayne Brown. He's going to be a long-term top 8 or 9 left tackle.
Dwayne Brown is good right now.
Yeah, but as a rookie, Dwayne Brown sucked. That's what I'm saying. He's going to suck as a rookie, but give him 2 years with some good coaching, and Irving will be a fringe Pro Bowl left tackle, which is what you need for a guy like Cam Newton.
That's That's exactly what Mel Mayock said. Mel Mayock projected him late first, early second round, and he said that with good coaching, because he's played with Winston, that he might be a good fit.
Well, I mean, Irving is just a good fit because he's got the feet to play left tackle. He's got the hands. He's got solid technique. But he's going to have issues adjusting to the next level because he doesn't have the strength right away. Once he gets that strength, once he builds it up and can take on the power rushers like the Terrell Suggs types, he'll be fine. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you guys took Cameron Irving, I would hate that pick long term. Like, I'd love it right away because I'm like, man, anybody can get pressure on Cameron Irving. But I'd love it long term for y'all because y'all would have a franchise left tackle. Just like if y'all took Irving and then in the third round took Clemmings, who is he's like Irving, but he's a right tackle. He's very uncomfortable moving to his left, but if you put him on the right side, he looks like Tyson Clabo or Eric Winston or any of those guys. You get those kind of guys, you got a Dwayne Brown and an Eric Winston, you can't complain if your offense has a pair of bookends and you got him in the second and third round. And if you spend your first round pick on a guy like, not Amari Cooper, but like Kevin White or someone on that lineage, Nelson Aguilar out of USC, if you do that, that's a really good 3 rounds of the draft. Like, that's, hey, I got my franchise left tackle, my franchise right tackle, my guards are solid as it is right now.
Because we got Trey Turner who's going to develop.
And yesterday we had Jason Opal on the show from Carolina Pro Football, and he really had a lot of high praise for Norwell coming in and playing guard. He really likes what he sees from him as far as, coming in and playing off of the bench. He thinks he's really got some potential, much more so than Sila Tulo even.
Oh, Sila Tulo sucks, man.
Yeah, man, what a race.
Sila Tulo has no business playing in the NFL. Andrew Norwell,
one last name for you is a guy from LSU, La'el Collins.
He's going to cost your first round pick. He's a franchise left tackle. He's going to go a lot higher than what Mel Mayock over there thinks he's going to do. Because dude is awesome. La'el Collins.
So you think Abuehi drops and Collins rises real high?
Abuehi's probably going to be a mid-second to a early third rounder when all is said and done. He's got the athletic potential to play left tackle. He just looks so clunky and uncomfortable playing left tackle. So I personally would never play him at left tackle if I drafted him. If I was the one in charge, I would only play him at right tackle.
Luckily, we got a right tackle spot open too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I would play him at right tackle. He'd be a franchise right tackle.
No, he might.
That's if you want to draft a right tackle in the early part of the second round, go for it. That's not a bad pick. You got a guy who's going to play 1,000+ snaps a year for you with a second round pick, so it's a great investment in terms of just a business side of things.
Right.
You're going to pay a guy a rookie second round pick contract for 4 years to basically lock down the right side of your line with Trey Turner and with Ryan Khalil. That's half your line right there. That's giving you at least a right side for an escape hatch.
Right. Okay, let's talk last kind of subject. I want to talk about who's going to win this division.
He'll find a couple other.
The Falcons or the Saints? And does anybody really actually want to win the division?
That is goal number one.
I think they want to win now.
No, that's goal number one every year. You want to win your division. You want to win a playoff game. You want to win multiple playoff games. But you set it out as, I'm going to win my division, I'm going to host a playoff game, and I'm going to win that playoff game. That's why you set it up. You do all three of those, you've had a good season.
That's a normal year, though. That's not when everybody is below 500.
That's still the question. That's still, you ask any head coach what they want to do at the beginning of the year, they're going to tell you, my only goal right now is to get this team to the playoffs. Anything less, I'm not going to be happy with. And the best way to get to the playoffs is to win my division.
Well, I understand that, but you guys were about to fire your coach 2 weeks ago. If he wins the division, you got to keep him.
It depends. If he wins the division at 7-9, you don't really have to keep him. Especially if he gets blown out in that first playoff game. You don't keep him in that situation. Yeah, he won the division. Yeah, it was the third time in 7 years. But he lost the playoff game in an embarrassing fashion. That would be the kind of thing that you'd be like, you know what, Mike Smith, it's been a great run. Thank you for the division title on your way out. We're going to bring in someone who can actually manage the clock and not make the team look like crap. And actually put the guys in the right positions instead of,
You're so bitter, Scott. You were so bitter over that.
I am so bitter that the Falcons lost 2 games because instead of calling run plays like any competent coach would, he called a screen pass and a deep pass to Devin Hester,
Who had 2 drops in the end zone.
who had 2 drops in the end zone already that game. So I'm just saying, any competent coach says, yeah, I know the run game's not really working, but let's try it. Let's call this run and say, you know what, go for it. Just get the run. And then calling a timeout at 55 seconds would be a lot more forgivable if you at least run the ball instead of passing it, which stopped the clock because you dropped the ball.
Right.
You at least run the ball. You know Patine's going to be stupid and probably let the clock run down to like 17 seconds before he finally calls a timeout. Take out another 5 seconds, boom. There's no way that Browns offense was going down the field in 12 seconds and getting a field goal.
All right, Joey, let me ask you, because I didn't expect Scott to be so adamant about wanting to win a division that's so stinky as ours.
Right.
If you win the division and then you get blown out in the first round, that you still you're gonna have the 21st pick, and that would be with a 7-9 record.
Or 6-10.
Yeah. So, do you see where I'm coming from, Joey? Why would anybody really want to win this division if you don't got a shot in the playoffs?
Totally. If you're just going to go to the playoffs and then lose in the first round, you could potentially lose, 15, 12, 13, 14 draft positions.
That's fine. I don't mind losing draft positions as long as the team. Sometimes you have to have a good end of the year to lead into the next year. Sometimes you have to have positives to build off of. If Atlanta goes 8-8 and wins the division, that means they finish the second half of the year going 6-2. That's a pretty damn good second half of the year.
Sure.
When you bring that up and you go, you know what, we were 4-12, now we're 8-8, we got a new head coach, he's got this new philosophy of everybody plays the position they should play, and, good clock management and grinding down teams with the run and destroying them deep with the pass. Like, hey, we've got an identity and a philosophy now. Atlanta hasn't had an identity since 2010 when it was ground and pound with Turner, go deep with Roddy White. That was the identity in 2010. I don't know why they don't try something similar now. Outside of the fact they don't have a running back. But 21, you can still get a great player in this year's draft. The difference between a high draft pick this year and a high draft pick last year is the difference between a Jake Matthews type and a Kelvin Benjamin type. Most of the high draft picks this year are going to be Kelvin Benjamin, Brandon Cooks, Desmond Trufant types, who in any other normal draft are going to be lower in the rounds, and there's specific fits for certain teams more than they are, great existential players who can change your team for the better.
Well, and not only that, Scott, but in our case, in the case of the Panthers, we have a lot more holes to fill than the Falcons do.
I agree.
So you know,
That's so
the
busted
need for,
to say.
it is, but it's the truth.
The Falcons need pass rusher, 2 of them. They need a linebacker who can play in coverage. They need a tight end who can actually catch the damn ball.
Yeah, that's true.
They need a bell cow running back. Those are the biggest needs for the Atlanta Falcons right now. They've got offensive line. They've got wide receivers. They've definitely got a quarterback. You know, they've got a solid fullback. They've got a good middle linebacker in Paul Warlow. They've got some solid defensive tackles and 3-4 linemen if they wanted to, and Hageman and Babineau and Stoliai. You know, they've got safeties out the wazoo. They've got cornerbacks that can actually play football now, although they really haven't had an issue with not having cornerbacks lately between Grimes and Robinson or Trufant and Alford. They can all play. Right. So the real issue that Atlanta has is they need a pass rush. They need someone who can be John Abraham, get after the quarterback, and destroy him multiple times a game. And they need 2 of them. And then they just need to play Massaquoi.
That's hard to get in the draft.
Well, this is also a year where there's 8 or 9 pass rushers where you're going, man, at 21, I could get Vic Beasley. At 21, I could get Shane Ray. These guys have 11, 12 sacks.
Okay, listen. Let me talk about Vic Beasley. I've seen him gone as early as 6. And
that's fine.
And can he play defensive end in the NFL at 235 pounds?
No, but he can easily play 3-4 outside linebacker at 235 pounds.
That's big enough?
How big do you think Robert Mathis was for all those years? It wasn't until recently that Robert Mathis even hit 240 pounds.
Yeah, he looked like a big dude.
The one guy, like, there's a lot of pass rushers in this year's draft that you could take and be very, very, very happy with.
Vic Beasley
from Kentucky, Bud Dupree.
Vic Beasley reminds me of the kid from Wake Forest that was drafted early. Was it Mabin? Aaron Mabin?
Aaron Mabin.
Yeah, that's who he reminds me of.
He's better than Mabin. But Mabin had no idea how to use his hands.
I could see Vic Beasley being moved to safety and playing safety in the NFL. He's got that kind of speed.
Mabin was an anchor man. I don't know what to do with my hands in this situation. Like, that's what Aaron Mabin is. Vic Beasley comes up and says, boom, under the pads, throw away. Boom, swim move. Boom, rip. Like, he's got moves. He understands what to do. Boom, oh, I'm going to do a spin move and turn around and have a wide open lane to the quarterback. Beasley's got multiple pass rush moves. He's got a ridiculous first step. The only question that I have is, can he put on a little bit more weight? Well, you put him in an NFL strength training program with NFL nutritionists, and their only real goal is to have him gain 10 to 15 pounds, he could do that in a heartbeat. He's got the frame to. I feel the same way about Shane Ray, too. Shane Ray is going to be a monster. Those 2 are the best pass rushers in this draft for a 3-4 scheme. And then Bud Dupree is going to be scary in the NFL. He's probably the smartest defensive end in this entire draft, and he's got the frame to probably put on another 10 to 15 pounds if the team really wanted to put him at a 4-3 defensive end role. He's going to be the one out of this entire draft who could Jared Allen it and be that 15-sack guy 18 straight years.
Where's Bud Dupree out of?
Kentucky.
Okay.
Okay, here's my thought on that, and then let's do our picks and get out of here tonight. I always feel like people say that about defensive ends, that they can impact, that, you know, that their skill set will translate, that they'll be able to, you know, that these guys. But I always feel it's a little rougher than everybody expects. I mean, how many times do you see a team get a high defensive ends and then it's like year 3 or 2 that he really starts to emerge.
It's pretty often.
Yeah.
So I mean, I see it coming. It's kind of like the tackle position. These are positions that you got to have. Yeah, you got to grow into them. So
And you often have guys like Jason Pierre-Paul who get taken at 15, and because they've got the simple skill set of they're long, tall, long arms, quick off the line.
And he's a hell of an athlete.
And all you have to do is put them in the right spot. A lot of that impact, that early impact, comes down to coaching.
Well, some of
If you lose a guy, the way that he wins, where does he win? He wins in a 9 technique. Play him in nothing but a 9 technique till he learns anything else. Play him nothing but what he does well until he learns something else.
Well, also, too, I was going to say, a lot of those cases, you got some defensive like with Jason Pierre-Paul. At that time, he was surrounded by, you had OC, you had some of the other guys there, so he didn't have to do a whole lot. It wasn't a lot of pressure on him. He can come in, they can fit him in to do one thing or 2 things, like you said, and he look good. He can excel, and then until he grows into the position and learns more things. But if you got him where it's a thin defensive line where he's a lot of pressure on him and he doesn't know a whole lot, he might get it. You know what I'm saying? It may take him a couple years to really develop. That's what I mean.
Yeah. That's how I feel about it, but I think it's always good and it works out, but it's never and that's how I feel a lot of picks are, and I think we may have had a little bit more of a impact rookie class because of the receivers that did so well this season. But you always expect them to be a little bit better on day one than they really are, and then maybe it's never as quick as we like. But let's jump into the picks. Joe, we haven't heard from you a ton tonight because Carolina stinks. So we'll start with you. Atlanta at Green Bay. Who you got?
I have to go with the Packers. They're at home. It's going to be cold weather. And, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers.
I'm with you. Is that I think Green Bay is tough at home. I'm going to go Packers as well. Aaron Rodgers is, to me, the best quarterback in the NFL, and those receivers are good. They can play at home even when it's cold, and that's a tough place to travel. Scott, how do you feel about that?
Well, you're not really alone in that feeling, Tony. I'd say about 75% of people who watch and write about football will agree with you that Aaron Rodgers is far and away the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
Nice.
I'm expecting Atlanta to lose 42-24.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because of the fact that it's in Green Bay.
It's in Green Bay. It's in freezing butt-ass cold weather.
Yeah, for sure.
Monday night.
Atlanta sucks outdoors. Atlanta's even worse in butt-ass cold weather.
Right.
Unless, Atlanta can get 3 or 4 interceptions on a guy who's thrown 3 interceptions all year. Can magically get, 2 Devin Hester returns for touchdowns. Can magically, hold on to the ball and have a running game that holds on to the ball for 40 minutes in the game. That's how Atlanta wins. And Atlanta's probably not going to do any of that. So I'm expecting 42-24, that kind of game. Atlanta's going to score some points. They might even lead 24-12 at the half. And then the Packers are going to go, you know what? Let's quit messing with these kids and just destroy them.
I think right now, I think the Packers are my favorite to win the Super Bowl at the moment. Is that too much?
I'm not ready to call that. I see why people would, but I'm not ready to call that.
I think they're the best team. With how they're playing right now, if they can continue to play like this, they'll be the best team in the league.
But see, that's the problem.
I'm hoping Atlanta has a trap game right now.
Yeah, but the season goes through so many ups and downs, ebbs and flows. It's hard to say how they're going to really play come playoff time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if they get a couple of injuries before the season ends or something like that, that could change a lot for them in the playoffs.
Sure, but I feel the same way about the other teams that would be leaders right now. I don't trust any other team. Like, I don't really trust the Patriots right now as better than Green Bay. I don't trust Denver. Denver seems to have its inconsistencies, and we saw what happened late for them. I mean, who are the 49ers, Seattle?
But I'm saying I'm just saying one way or another. I'm not sure. I mean, Green Bay is playing very good ball. They're probably playing better than anybody right now. One of those teams. But New England is playing fairly well. And I think Denver right now, they're establishing that running game with C.J. Anderson and things like that. I think you see a even more improved team as that running game keeps going. Because that's going to be really dangerous to have Peyton Manning with a serious running game that you got to pick a 10 with.
The last time Peyton Manning had a good running game was when they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, not with Edgerton Jones. I'm sorry, not with Edgerton Jones, the other kid.
Adai.
Edgerton had already left.
Yeah, it was Joseph Adai.
Adai, yep.
Yeah, and they beat Chicago.
Yep.
So that could be dangerous, but we have seen sort of a bit of the human side of Peyton Manning here recently.
Well, he's 37, going on like 38. You know what I mean?
Right.
That human side coming out, whether he likes it or not.
Mm-hmm. No,
that would be imagine the ratings on that Super Bowl. Denver with Peyton Manning versus
Aaron
Rodgers in Green Bay.
Hell yeah. That would the thing about it, everybody be hoping is a 40-40 Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Where everybody just scoring all over the damn place.
Right. Well, because neither one of those defenses is absolutely amazing, so that would probably be what it would be. We're looking at like a 65-62 kind of Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Would that not be fun?
It would be fun.
Would that not be fun? Like
even if it was 45-39, it would be awesome. You know,
play the whole game like it's college overtime.
Yeah, but think about it.
Just do 8 innings. Everybody gets a possession.
Yeah.
5, just boom, 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 and then just do that. That would be more fun.
It's like when you play offense-defense in the backyard. You just give them 3 downs to score, then you give the ball to the next person to try it or whatever.
Yep. Exactly. College overtime rules give each team 8 innings and a half.
Pretty much.
Each team gets 16 total possessions. At the end of the game, whoever's got the most points win. If it's tied, sudden death overtime. Not regular sudden death overtime, but inning style, just like college.
Okay, well, I'm going to put Greg. I'm guessing you're going Packers as well.
Yeah, I'm going Packers as well. One, because the Saints need Atlanta to lose that damn game.
That's the real reason.
Anybody who watches football is going to say, man, Atlanta's going to lose.
But common sense is going to tell you, Atlanta going into Green Bay at this point in time is not going to work very well for Atlanta.
Right.
Now, here's
it's not going to work very well for anybody.
The only thing I'm hoping Green Bay just lays an egg. Like, just
of course you do.
Just Arizona Cardinals themselves.
That ain't happening.
You better hope that Drew Stanton becomes their quarterback.
Yeah, and I'm gonna kick Drew.
Like Aaron Rodgers gets the flu and does a Andy Dalton impression.
Oh, and
no way.
He was bored last week.
Let's go to another game. I think we're all gonna probably agree on. Greg, you can take this one first. Carolina's going to New Orleans.
Well, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to New Orleans. I'm going to New Orleans. Why? Because number two, we need it.
Yeah, you gotta have it. Yeah.
Gotta have it.
Gotta have it.
Okay, you Scott, you said Saints, right?
Yeah, I think the Saints win, and I don't think it's very pretty.
Well, the last one wasn't pretty in Carolina, so this one right here really ain't gonna be pretty.
I think it's gonna be like, man, what was the last one?
31-17 last year when they beat them in there, and that was actually a full-fledged Carolina team.
Right.
That was
that's not true. We didn't have Charles Johnson that game.
42-7.
Well, it's close enough. It's better than what you got now.
Yeah, but you guys aren't anywhere the same team as last year either.
Man, your secondary is awful, and the Saints receivers are finally clicking with Breeze. That's gonna be awful for you. 42-7 Saints, man.
I mean,
Wow.
I try to not predict blowouts, but y'all just don't have the team to beat.
Think about it. They beat Pittsburgh, and they didn't throw one single pass to Jimmy Graham. They threw nothing to Jimmy Graham in that whole game.
Yeah, I don't understand that. That pissed me off as a Jimmy Graham fantasy owner.
Hell, I got the guy too. I'm like, you know something.
They had like 3 6-yard touchdowns, and I'm like, dude. Jimmy Graham,
but let me say,
Jimmy Graham.
I was happy for Watson to get a touchdown. I was actually happy for Lorick to finally get a touchdown in. And they basically they went to 3 unlikely people to get those first 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, like 15 yards to Watson, 4 yards to Lorick, and 11 yards to Toom. All 3 of those should have been to Jimmy Graham. Just those 3 passes.
But see, I was happy for all 3 of those touchdowns.
That's 3 touchdowns. We're a point per reception league, so that's 6 plus 16, 6 plus 18. That's 24 points. That's all I needed.
I could have used it too.
Ryan, I don't care about your fantasy football team. I don't care about Jimmy Graham, and I don't care about the New Orleans Saints, but I'm with you. I'm not picking the Carolina Panthers. In fact, I don't even think I'm going to pick them against the Buccaneers, Joey. I think I'm going to pick both teams to lose out for the season with another tie with the Buccaneers next week. That's what I'm saying.
And it'll be
the Buccaneers beat you. I really do.
And in an ironic twist, this year we set the record for the most points in a tie. And against the Bucs, we'll set the record for the least points in a tie, and it'll be 2 safeties, 1 by each team, and it'll be 2-2.
I was saying you guys were both going to pitch a shutout.
Okay,
right. I mean, that's possible.
I like Joey's. I like Joey's better, the 2-2, and then the NFL revokes one of our wins for the season and makes us 2-14. You got the Saints as well, Joey, or are you going Carolina? No, you already said they're going to lose out.
Right, but this is making me mad. All right.
What?
Because
What
it's okay for Carolina Panther fans to talk badly about the Carolina Panthers, but then when other teams fans start talking badly about the Carolina Panthers, it makes me mad. And it's one thing to say yes, the team is in bad shape, but to say we're going to get blown out and we're so bad, that's pissing me off now.
I didn't say you're going to get blown out. I said you're going to get beaten.
I'm looking at where the Panthers are right now
recap.
versus where the Buccaneers are. Not Buccaneers, where the Saints are right now. I mean,
let me recap. Greg said they were going to win really big, and Scott said they were going to get blown out. So I count that as blowouts.
What I'm saying is that the Saints are going to lose 4 in a row at home, and the Panthers are going to go into the Saints Stadium and surprise them and pull out a victory.
What the hell?
I hope you're right. As a Falcons fan trying to win the division, I hope you're right. Because if that happens, Atlanta can get blown out by Green Bay and not have to worry about it.
The last
whatever. We lost Green Bay. We still got the division tiebreaker. All we've got to do is beat New Orleans and we win the division.
Yep. What they put in your birthday cake, Joey?
Joey, you could have got mad. You could have got mad and just said, like, we're going to lose by a touchdown.
No. We're going to win. Now we're going to win. We're going to go in there and surprise the Saints. The Saints are going to be a trap game.
I don't think Saints. I can guarantee. I don't think Saints in no way, shape, or form are going to take that game lightly. They know that they're. I honestly think that they know that this is a good shot. One, to take the division lead, and number 2, they know that they can't. If they take this game lightly, they will lose it in a heartbeat.
All right, here, Joey might be convincing me because of this right here. nobody in this division is any good.
Right.
So it's not like we're going to play a good team.
We're not going to play Green Bay.
Yeah.
Hold on. If I got this right, let me see. Hold on. Did you guys lose to Green Bay?
Yes, we did.
We did.
Okay. And Atlanta lost. Atlanta's going to lose to Green Bay. Now, we kicked Green Bay's ass.
You did.
All right, then. So
if the Saints can beat Green Bay and Atlanta beat the Saints, maybe Atlanta can beat Green Bay.
Oh, God. Glue. Pass the glue.
If you want to use the transitive property.
Yeah. Pass the glue. Yeah, that's right.
No, because who in here lost to the Lions? Who in here lost to the Lions?
Both of us.
Or beat the Packers. I've been watching that game for everything they did right. And all they did the entire game was hand the ball to Mark Ingram. That's all they did. 7.2 yards a carry. Here you go, Mark. Here you go, Mark. Here you go, Mark.
So it's doable. It's doable.
Atlanta needs to do that with Devontae Freeman because he can at least break some runs off and look like Ray Rice in the process. Not like wife beating Ray Rice.
I was going to say, the punching wife or the one that...
The good side of Ray Rice on the field.
All right, well, Joe, you tugged at my heartstrings, but I'm not changing my pick.
Okay.
Last game, Tampa at Detroit. Greg, who you got?
Now, and I said this before the show. I said Tampa's defense is actually kind of gelling, and they're kind of coming in. I think they're getting Lovey's defense. They're definitely playing strong ball. The fact that, Detroit hasn't necessarily been lighting the world on fire. They played decent against Chicago, but we're talking Chicago. I think that's going to be a very close game. I think Detroit wins it, but I think that's a close game. I think it's somewhere in that 17, maybe 17-10, 17-13 kind of range because the only problem is that, they have no kind of offense. Tampa got nothing for offense. I'm sorry. Right. They got a garbage truck driver playing quarterback, and that's what the hell he is. And that's simple as that.
Josh McCown or Mike Glennon?
McCown, because Glennon's still on the bench. You think about the last two games. Because Andy Dalton gave them that game. He was giving them that game. He threw 3 interceptions in that game, 3 or 4 interceptions.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, if Aaron Rodgers gets the flu and pulls an Andy Dalton, that's how Atlanta wins.
All right. Okay, so you got the Lions. Scott, who do you got?
Oh, man, I got the Lions big. Like,
I don't know.
The Buccaneers, but Calvin Johnson's healthy.
Yeah.
Matt Stafford's healthy. They're getting Reggie Bush back. Joyke Bell looked like a man.
Mm-hmm.
They're just...
Jordan always looked like a man.
And Golden Tate is the perfect number 2 for Calvin.
Yes, he is.
Like, I never thought Golden Tate was going to be this good, but
he's fitting very well there.
He's that perfect. Not like they've been looking for a number 2 for Calvin Johnson, and it's Golden Tate. Like that's exactly who that is.
Think about it. When Calvin was gone, he played a pretty strong number 1.
I'm not saying he didn't.
Well, he was drafted to be a number 1 originally.
He's the number 2 that Calvin Johnson needed his entire career.
Yes. Because you got to wear it.
Just like Emmanuel Sanders has been the number 2 that Demaryius Thomas needed his entire career.
You're right.
Like, those guys are just monster players. Like, Sanders, nobody would know Emmanuel Sanders has 1,100 yards right now.
So just like Amari Cooper is going to be the number 2 that Kelvin Benjamin's always needed.
I think
Kelvin Benjamin's the number 2 that Amari Cooper has always needed.
Yeah, I think Amari Cooper comes as the number 1 if Amari Cooper comes there.
Okay, was Joyke Bell enough of a man to be a security guard that game?
How big is the cornerback that the Saints picked up? His last name starts with a V.
Well, you talking about Stanley Baptiste?
No, Vereen or Verrett.
Vaccaro? The safety?
No, I'm sorry, the Bucks. I'm sorry.
Oh, you talking about the Bucks? Oh, you talking about Antoine Werner?
Werner. Yeah.
Werner.
How big is
I think
he?
he's like 6 feet, maybe.
Werner? Dude, Werner's like 5'9". What are you talking about? Dude's tiny.
Oh no, you're right. I forgot what the hell type. Yeah, that's right. He ain't that tall.
He's 5'10", 189. He's the same size as Dante Robinson.
Okay.
Or,
All right.
or like Chris Gamble.
And
Patrick Robinson.
Yeah, but he's a
the
classic.
Lions are going to win because if he's covering Megatron, that's not even fair.
The only guy that's short like that can actually cover Megatron is Brent Grimes. Because he's got like a 50-inch vertical. It's the only guy that can cover him that well.
The reference to the security guard was because Joique Bell was a security guard for the Lions before he made the team.
Yes.
Okay. And I guess that's it. That's the last bit of the games. I'm just exhausted by the Carolina Panthers at this point.
What came off the Saints practice squad to Detroit?
Who did?
Joique Bell. Joique Bell came from the Saints practice squad. I know Joique Bell very well. Because he sat on the Saints practice squad for like a year or so.
Well, he was security with them at one point.
Was he? Because I never heard that one.
He was.
Maybe it was before his career started. Because I know he was at Philadelphia and Buffalo. New Orleans picked him up right before the Seattle playoff game that they lost. Back then, and then they put him in training camp. He was in the practice squad because they just didn't have enough room for him. And then Detroit picked him up before the end of that year, and he had him for the last couple of years.
Yeah,
he
was a training camp security guard every summer when he was in college.
That makes sense. Okay, then. Okay, that's what I was saying. I knew it was before he made the NFL. I mean, that had to be early on.
Right. So, okay, and he was a security guard for the Lions though at that time. But that's all I got for you guys. This is the Southbound and Down podcast. I want to give everybody a chance to, say what they're working on or how you can get after them. We'll start with the division champion Atlanta Falcons.
Well, not
division leader. Division leader.
Let's not get that correct. Get that right. Get that right, pal, because this ain't over yet.
Atlanta Falcons. You can find me. I'm Scott Karasik. You can find me at Scott Karasik, at Draft Falcons. Find all my work at Bleacher Report or at Draft Falcons. And, that's about it.
And a.k.a. Chewbacca, a.k.a. Sweater Pants. Let's go over to that freaking Puerto Rican, a.k.a. Joe Riolano. What's up, my man? Tell them how they can get after you.
You can find me on Twitter at Joe Riolano. On Panther game days, you can find me in Charleston, South Carolina at the Carolina Panthers fan club of Charleston, located at Southside 17 at the Tanger Outlets. We always have a good time, despite the fact that Carolina loses so consistently. This year has taken forever to go by because of how poorly we played. It really does make me value and appreciate the winning seasons because they do fly by.
A.k.a. the guy that got giving liquor and harboring young kids at my senior weekend in high school. That was Joe Riolano. Thanks for taking that ticket for me, brother. Greg Barba, the man who he's like a secret agent living in enemy territory. How can they follow you, Greg?
You can follow me at IntenseGB. Greg Barber. Definitely, like I said, follow me, and of course, I talk football, wrestling, whatever. So definitely looking forward to hearing from some of you.
All right, this is the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn. This is the Southbound and Down podcast. You can check us out every Wednesday night at 10 o'clock. On Tuesday nights, tune in for the C3 podcast, CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You guys have a good night.
Amen.